Greetings. Welcome to the mini course on creating a winner's mindset. As always, practice, no theory. We'll break it down, apply it, be amazed by the results, and fly forward to create. Let's visualize in practice. Let's imagine the mindset of a loser and the mindset of a winner. What we're striving for, what we want to create, and what we want to move away from. And then we'll break down the practical tools that will help you do this. So, the loser's mindset. As soon as an obstacle appears on the path, immediately give up, lose mental and physical strength to move forward. As soon as you see failure or lack of results, lack of quick progress here and now in response to your efforts, immediately lose motivation, lose focus, lose vision of the goal you were going toward, lose everything. Despite the result here and now, or rather its absence, lose the will to live, the will to overcome, and return to old ways. Return to seeking quick pleasure, scrolling feeds, watching porn, eating sweets, playing games, where there is quick dopamine and so on. Give up, quit, drop it, don't finish, don't see it through to results. For the 1000th time, promise your wife, your girlfriend, your friends, look at me, this time for sure, this time 100%. This time only upward, look. And after 2 days, already send all your promises to hell, first and foremost promises to yourself. Also in the loser's mindset, it's very easy for negative thoughts and negative beliefs to burst in. Everything seemed fine, you were charged up, hyped, then negative thoughts come, negative beliefs, you start spinning them, thinking them over, falling into negativity, losing strength, losing energy, and spiraling down to rock bottom, where, again, at rock bottom you try to grasp at momentary pleasure just to somehow feel something, when your life is at absolute rock bottom. Loser's mindset. Winner's mindset, on the contrary. Who do we call winners? What's in their head? No matter what obstacle you throw in their path, they overcome it. They don't give up. They don't lose strength. They're ready to grind for 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 weeks without results, adapting, changing something, believing, continuing to act, not losing motivation. And then you look. How the hell? After 6 months, they have results, they have prosperity, they have success, they have respect, they have status. And I already gave up on day 3. I already quit on day 3 because I am a loser, because I have a loser's mindset. How does he do it? What's the secret? W-ear is the magic. W-H-E-E is the strength. Where does he get it? What's happening in his head? What's not happening in mine? Why is he capable of doing this, and I am not? He's capable of pushing through 3 to 6 months without results, and I am not. He can't be knocked down by any obstacle, any negative foundation, any negative thoughts, any talk from the side, any barking dogs. But me, I heard some negative comment, I immediately fell into negativity. Someone says something bad to me, I immediately think it won't work out. Loser's mindset, winner's mindset. There, friends, did you feel it? Feel the difference, yes? We want to be here, friends. We want to be on the side of winner's mindset, effectively creating the life we want to live. How to create it, friends, what is it based on, and how to manage it. How to manage your thinking. Let's figure it out, friends. So, friends, it all starts with Daniel Kahneman, cognitive psychologist and Nobel laureate in economics, who developed the definition of fast and slow thinking. Fast and slow thinking. If I now ask you to calculate 2 times 2, 2 times 2, how much? 4. Immediately, you didn't think, you didn't calculate, you didn't recall how the multiplication process works. You immediately automatically gave the result you knew, which is embedded in your fast thinking. 4. Done. If I tell you, buddy, 22 multiplied by 36, how much? You immediately slowed down, immediately thought, immediately cut off everything around you, and focused your brain on calculating this number. In the example of 2 times 2, your fast thinking was working, which immediately gives results it knows. Based on your habits, based on your attitudes, based on your patterns that form since childhood, based on your already settled beliefs, distortions, and so on. When the question was 22 times 36, slow thinking kicked in, where you consciously thought, well, how do I solve this? Many of you have probably heard that 95% of our actions we perform based on habits. That is, 95% of your life you live on autopilot. All decisions, all thoughts, all reactions that happen in your head, and accordingly, results you make, happen on autopilot. 95%. So, these 95% of automatism, this is exactly our fast thinking. And only 5% goes to slow thinking. Fast thinking was created so you don't have to think. When you get in a car, you no longer think about how to turn it on, how to drive, how to hold the wheel, where to press the gas, where to look, which mirrors. You don't think. Fast thinking allows you to get in and drive without thinking, being in your thoughts, get in and drive. And therefore, fast thinking optimizes all processes in your life. This is cool. But the problem appears when non-working patterns, wrong attitudes, distorted reality, distorted perception of reality, start being embedded in fast thinking. At this moment, problems begin, because now any decision to continue acting or not, any your thought process in response to some negative situation, to a negative thought, to a negative event, your thoughts and your actions in absence of results, with problems in achieving what you wanted to achieve, all these decisions are made based on fast thinking, which in turn relies on cognitive biases. Cognitive biases are systematic errors in thinking and perception that lie at the foundation of most of your decisions. You don't understand why you start and quit, but this is already your cognitive bias, which based on past unsuccessful experiences tells you already on autopilot, man, after the first 3-4 attempts, we drop this shit. We've been through this 1,000 times. Drop this shit. Nothing will work. We've been there. It all doesn't work like that. Let's look for something new. And so you jump around until you change the format of your thinking. How to do this? To do this, slow thinking exists when fast no longer works, when you need to sit down and think. Okay, what would be better for me here? What decision to make, which city to move to, how to act further here. Slow thinking kicks in, and based on fast and slow thinking, the well-known terms were derived, reactive thinking and proactive thinking. And what I will now tell and show you, friends, is capable of so strengthening your brain, strengthening your thinking, your winner's mindset, your ability to turn on slow proactive thinking and act not based on what you acted on before, the dreary automatisms you developed throughout your life, which led you not to the result where you want to be, but based on new winner's thinking. Let's begin, friends. Before you is a behavioral model based on which we'll examine reactive and proactive thinking, which consists of event, interpretation, emotion, reaction, and result. Most people live based on reactive thinking, and it's exactly in this sequence they always move in their life. Some event happens, doesn't matter if positive or negative. Based on this event, a person in their head creates some interpretation, a specific one, of this event. This interpretation that the person created in relation to this event creates an emotion in them, and then this emotion produces a reaction, and the reaction produces a result. This is our fast-thinking reactive thinking, also known as loser's thinking. Why? Because when everything works in your head like this, event creates interpretation, and your interpretation in your head creates the further chain, cascade of actions. Events are the thing you don't control. You did everything for your YouTube video. You filmed, you made it, you edited, and so on. Uploaded to YouTube. Question: do you control what will happen to it next? Whether it takes off or not, do you control it? Number: you made the product, you worked, you thought everything will be great, created, uploaded, published, nobody bought. Do you control the events of whether someone bought or didn't buy? No, you don't control it. Yes, you can then take actions to influence this, but when actions were already done and you gave everything, so to speak, to the will of this world, further, you don't control. You control when today the weather will be. Well, no. You control what trigger, what thoughts will be sent to your head. Number: you didn't know that on the next swipe you'd catch some trigger to envy, to lust, to something else. You didn't control this. It just flew to you. But most people, not controlling events, they live in a format of eternal interpretation of these events. In your head you caught negative shit, launched a cascade of negative thoughts, and from them you get negative emotions, shit, damn, or envy. Oh, you dog, creature, bastard, damn, why don't I have this, bastards? I'll leave comments. Or emotions: ah, shit, I'll never have this. I am rock bottom. Why am I such a nothing? Why is everyone so successful and I am nothing? Because you see some successful young person and you immediately get triggered. Damn, but I am 35. I already have family, kids. Ah, shit, nothing will work out for me. How so? What the? Victim starts turning on and off we go. Negative emotion. From emotions, reactions, screw it all. Nothing. Well, damn, I'll go play something. Hence the result. Result is shit. Nothing moves anywhere. Everything stands still. Or again, event: you uploaded a YouTube video. It didn't take off anywhere. and you interpret the event in your head. Probably it's all shit. Probably nothing will ever work for me. Probably it's because of that, because of everything, because I don't have this, don't have that, don't have that, don't have that. Emotion, disappointment, apathy, depression, no motivation, corresponding reaction. Send it all, give up on everything and start looking for something else. Result, accordingly, result as always. Started quit, started quit, started quit, started quit. Or event, came home, wife, girlfriend, mad as hell. Ah, there she's freaking out, yelling and so on. Your interpretation. Ah, you creatures, yell back. You all, damn, grabbed, raging, fighting and so on. Emotion, negativity, anger, creatures, bastards, reaction. What the hell did I even get involved in all this shit for? Result, no result, destroyed relationships and so on. Everything goes nowhere. This is your reactive thinking, reacting to events. And any moments you don't like in life, any moments in thinking you don't like, any negative patterns, any behavioral patterns that piss you off, what you'd like to get rid of, you can trace through this model and see how any event that happens provokes in your head a certain interpretation, a picture you draw in your head. Interpretation is the picture you draw for yourself, yes, in accordance with the event, and then the cascade of emotions, reactions, and results. Hello, what to say? Not fun, because you don't control events. Accordingly, you don't control your whole life. You don't control emotions, reactions, results that you create in life. What to do then? What to do? Friends, there is magic. There is magic. So much magic that I have goosebumps, friends. Goosebumps. Because when you realize the power of this model, the power of this thinking, the power of this proactive approach, how practical it is and how easy it is for you to apply it in life, and based on this winner's mindset, create completely different results. Man, this is a game changer in your life. Proactive thinking differs from this whole story. The whole model remains the same. The whole model remains the same. Only the interpretation, the picture you build in your head, comes not from the event, but from the result. Boom! Every time you encounter a negative event, negative thought, negative trigger, negative feedback from the world on your actions, your task is not to go into the stable cascade of event, interpretation, negative emotion, reaction, result. Your task at this moment, turning on slow thinking, not as usual by the fast scheme, turning on slow thinking. Okay, encountered negativity, not what I expected, not what I wanted, this shit again. Slow thinking, how will I act now? Based on what will now be the whole cascade of my emotions and reactions. Based on what result I want to create in my life, what result I want to get in this sphere, how I want to feel today, what success in social networks I want to achieve, what business I want to build, what kind of speaker I want to become, what kind of successful businessman I want to become, what body I want to create, what result I want to get, and from this desired, final result, from point B you are striving for, you create your interpretation. And instead of spending a huge amount of your time, resources, energy to go through this whole dreary cascade, an hour, a day, 2, a week, a month, or maybe even years to lose in a negative picture of interpretation, in negative emotions, reactions, and results, you in this same second cut off everything and create a picture from the result. Okay, YouTube video didn't take off. Instead of usually giving up, sending it all, losing strength, you return, okay, what result do I want to create? I want to be there. I see myself with 100,000 subscribers, freedom, and so on and so on. From the result, you draw strength, you return. Then, emotion. Emotion is no longer based on interpretation of a negative event. Your emotion is based on the result you want to get. This is what I want to get. I want to be there. Let's do this. Let's go. Continue doing. What's the point? Didn't take off. Okay, continue doing. Continue doing. Because my picture, my interpretation comes from the result. Accordingly, emotions from such interpretation, charged up, continue, will handle it. Emotion gives birth to reaction. Creating the second, creating the third, creating the fifth, creating the 10th, creating the 20th. Continue selling, continue making calls, continue refining the product, continue working, continue connecting new ways of promotion, new options, new these, continue thinking what didn't work. Continue trying new training programs, new tactics. Thanks to different reaction, a different result is born too. Not like usual, gave up and quit, and everything stopped in place. But this time you continue, you show persistence, you show perseverance, because now not events that you don't control manage you, your picture, your emotions, but the result you want to get. You come home, everyone's mad, wife, girlfriend mad, kids mad, mad meaning not themselves. Instead of this event provoking anger, rage, and conflict again, result. What result do I want to get? Where do I want to be? I want to be like James Bond, who came in, doesn't matter what's happening here now. He's calm, he's confident in himself, he can take everything in his hands, take his wife by the shoulder and say, "Woman, everything will be beautiful, we'll sort it out. Calm down, I love you, we'll handle everything. Let's go, come on, let's work." What result do I want to get? I want to get amazing relationships. Therefore, I will now act not based on the event that creates in me the interpretation. "Ah, you creatures, you didn't wait for me," and so on, yes? Emotion, anger, rage, result, calmness, confidence, sorted it out like a man who conquered this storm, this tempest on his surfboard. You catch a negative thought instead of falling into the whole cascade. Result. Okay, we return. What result? What result? Visualized it. From here, interpretation. Let's go further. This model of slow, proactive winner's thinking should pop up in your head every time you again encounter a negative event, negative trigger, negative thoughts. Every time you return this structure in your head, you understand there are events that usually launch negative interpretation. Now I draw interpretation from the result. With the help of slow thinking, having discarded the cognitive bias of fast thinking, with the help of slow, proactive, you create in yourself this interpretation, this picture. Having drawn this picture, it creates in you emotion, reaction, and accordingly, a completely different result in your life. Exactly this way, buddy, you apply winner's thinking in practice from today, man. And buddy, with each new application of this tool and feeling how much your emotions, reactions, and results differ, this will build in you the confidence that this time, everything will be different. I have the ability to consciously send all these damn biases, send everything that was embedded in me against my will that was negative, that held me in some shackles, chains, and so on. Send all this, and consciously make decisions based on where I want to be, what kind of man I want to be, and what life I want to build and live. And this confidence, it will spread to all spheres of your life. Not only will it create results, let this confidence fill your every day. Because now, where you go, whose hand you shake, whose eyes you look into, you are a different man, a man who controls himself based on the result he's going toward, not based on events that happen to him. Therefore, legends, let winner's mindset through this tool at the start become what you apply every time now on a daily basis in order to reverse your habitual pattern. And then, in a week, in 2, in 5, in a month, in a year, in several years, so that this tool through repetition becomes part of you, and in years all that will be around you as admiration. How so? How can you do that? Where is the magic? Where is the strength? How did you manage to overcome all this, create such results? It feels like nothing can stop you in this world. And you will know, winner's mindset. Hold the line, pick up the pace, let's fly.